Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I am Matt. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to check out the OneVape Lambo pod. This is a pretty interesting looking pod system that is made with some nicer materials. It looks fairly high end. So let's go ahead and unbox it. This is the rainbow version. I've been using this gunmetal and carbon fiber version, which is my favorite as far as looks go. Now inside here, we do have the pod system all wrapped up. There she is. This one's quite flashy, pretty glossy mirror type finish as well. So it's going to be a fingerprint magnet. Now it came off in the package, but this will have a plug in the pod as well. Then underneath that, you do have a manual. And then underneath that, a USB charging cable, micro USB, a second pod. Then you get a couple extra plugs and then one of these little warranty cards. Now, with the Lambo pod, it's 68 millimeters at its tallest point, 45 millimeters at its widest point, and 15 millimeters at its thickest point, 360 milliamp hours. It does hold, the pods hold 2 mLs of liquid. It says Lambo right there. On that side, it says 1. That also lights up, which I will show you in a second. You got a little hole for a lanyard there. On the base there, it does say designed by OneVape in California, assembled in China. Charge ports right there on the side. Now let's go ahead and pull this plug out and take a look at the mouthpiece. There's what that guy looks like. And then you have a coil. Let's pull the pod out. That sits right down there. And you can see the wicks poking out on both sides. On the bottom there, you do have magnets. You need to take this sticker off right here. And it exposes 2 contacts, and then there's the hole that air gets in. The coil is 1.6 ohms. That isn't regulated or anything like that. Basically, it cuts off at 3.2 volts. Now, to fill it, you got this little plug right here. I was told that in future retail versions, these plugs are going to be connected to the pods, but on mine, they aren't. But they did, however, send a couple extra plugs. Now, in my other device, I have Nic salts. So in this one, I'm going to use a Freebase Citrus Mint 12 milligram, just normal nicotine. I know people don't like it called Freebase, but it's just what it is. And you might find that if that wick is too much in the way, you could poke it out of the way so it's not plugging up your fill port. But I think we're fine here. I also did find that filling is a little bit easier on this one than on other pod systems as far as liquid not blocking off that hole, because the hole's not massive, right? And I think that that's because air is able to release out through that. It doesn't have that membrane that's airtight or anything. So that's a good and a bad thing. You could possibly get more condensation inside here, inside your pod, but at the same time, it makes it easier to fill. Okay, you do have magnets down there on the inside and some contacts. Let's go ahead and put this plug back in, like so. And then when you put your pod in, you'll see that light up. That will light up solid blue when you're vaping it. And then when it needs to be charged, it will be a blue light flashing at you. And when you charge it, that will light up red. So there's a look at it in my hands. Not a super big pod system. Here it is next to the cobble. The cobble's a bit thinner, but definitely taller. So I would say it's kind of middle of the road as far as pod system size. This one's definitely a bit heavier than other pod systems though, because it's almost solid metal, zinc alloy, and then some plastic. Here's another look at this one, and by far I like the styling better on this. It also will come in a black and carbon fiber. There's the back side of that. I don't really like the Lambo writing there, but on this side I think the one looks pretty cool. They're calling it Lambo because of all the different angles and corners all over it, you know, which is reminiscent of a Lamborghini. Lamborghinis tend to have they have a lot of different cool looking angles and corners on them. So that's why they did the styling like this, I'm assuming. So let's go ahead, go up top, vape these, and talk about them a little more. Okay, here is the OneVape Lambo pod. This one has a 12 milligram Nic salt in it, but it uses the HIT version of Nic salt, so it's supposed to give a stronger throat hit than like the smooth Nic salts at 12 milligram. Let's go ahead and vape this one first. And as you can see there, that one lights up when you puff on it. All right, now we'll go ahead and vape this one. This one has just a normal 12 milligram nicotine inside. Here we go. Still a stronger throw hit on the normal 12 milligram than on the HIT Nic Salt that's 12. It's a nice warm vape. Yeah, for me, I still honestly just prefer the normal nicotine, but that's another subject. Talked about it a little bit in a video that I did, a live stream that I did with Andrew Obright probably a month ago or so. The draw is fairly loose. It's on the looser side when it comes to the MTL pods out there. I wish I had like the Me Pod or something like that with me, because I would say it's closer to that. The Me Pod might have a little looser draw, but it's definitely closer to that than like the some of the tighter draw pod systems like the Anakin EQ or like the Lawn Light that I reviewed a couple days ago. So, you know, you gotta like that. You gotta like a looser draw. But I will say it's a pretty warm vape for a looser draw pod system. And I think that is because your mouth is still fairly close to the coil because of how these pods are shaped. So it does warm up for you, definitely. But I still got to give the draw a con for my type of vaping. I like, when I'm using pod systems, a tighter MTL vape. Another con for me is that there's not a lot of feedback when it comes to this battery. Basically, it's a solid blue, and then when it's time to charge your battery, it starts blinking at you. Okay, so I wish that they had some steps there so you knew exactly where you were at. I will say that it does charge pretty fast. Charged for me in about 45 minutes. 360 milliamp hour battery, like I said. Now, they do suggest to use anything above a 60 VG in this, or you're gonna get some condensation. They said that in the manual. They said like 70-30 is perfect, but 60 VG and above, if you don't wanna get any kind of condensation buildup down there. I used a 50-50 in this, and I did see a little bit of condensation on this one. Keep that in mind, because your hole right there for the airflow is basically open. You might get a little liquid buildup down below here if you use some of the thinner liquids. The pods do fit in really, really nicely, so I'll give that a pro for sure. Definitely got to give the build quality a pro, and like I said, it's a fairly warm vape, which I like, so I got to give that a pro as well. When I first saw this, I was a bit thrown off by it because I tend to like more symmetrical shapes, and this one definitely is not. Has all these crazy angles and corners on it to, you know, to go after that Lambo styling. But I mean, the build quality on this, it looks really nice, and the looks of it are definitely growing on me. It's one of the nicer looking pod systems out there. The build quality's up there with, you know, like the Orions and stuff like that. Maybe not with the pods themselves, but as far as the actual device goes. So, who's this for? If you like a looser MTL, maybe you're more into like the Me Pod type of vape or something like that, which is a looser MTL. You like the looks of it. I think the flavor's definitely there. The flavor's quite nice. Then this is something you might be interested in. Like I said though, for me, the drawbacks are just that there's no battery feedback. It's a little bit looser of a draw than what I normally like. And like I said, also in the up close, the plugs are not connected to the pods, although I heard they are going to be connected to the pods in the future. But it is nice that they give you some extra plugs. Now, as far as price goes, I saw there's not a bunch of different US retailers that have this yet, but I did see Vapor DNA has it. But the way they have it listed is like a battery-only device, and then you have to buy a 2-pack of pods separately. So I believe it was around 35 bucks for the battery only, and then 10 bucks for a 2-pack of the pods. So a little more expensive than some of the other pod systems out there, although I will say that the materials on this are a little more premium. I do, however, see the kit on some of the Chinese sites like Vape Sourcing. I think that that's a Chinese retailer, and they have it for 33 bucks. But it includes the pods. So expect to see more and more retailers have this in stock soon, and then we'll get a better idea of exactly where the price is. So to wrap it up, it's something that I think I'll continue to use because I like the look of it. It has a nice warm vape and the flavor's good, but I just wish the draw was a bit tighter, and I wish there was more feedback as far as your battery level. That's basically what it boils down to for me. Let's go ahead and end it there, guys. That about wraps it up. Until next time, thanks for watching. Suck my mud.